Welcome to Cosmo Talks. I'm Petra. In this episode, we explore why resilience needs redundancy and how you can be a good host for your microorganisms. Because together, you form a fascinating ecosystem, and when the interaction is right, when the crosstalk functions optimally, you flourish. Efficiency is the buzzword of our time. No waste, no superfluous elements, everything streamlined to the absolute minimum. But nature thinks differently. Look at your body. 2 kidneys, while you can survive with 1. 2 lungs, 2 eyes, backups everywhere. Why would evolution be so inefficient? Because redundancy is not waste, it's insurance. And systems without insurance don't survive the first crisis. In 2021, researchers published in Nature Ecology and Evolution an analysis of functional redundancy in the human microbiome. They discovered that healthy microbiomes are not characterized by specific bacterial species, but by functional overlap. Multiple different bacteria that can perform the same essential functions. They call these guilds, groups of bacteria that fulfill the same ecological role. Just as in a medieval city there were multiple bakers, your microbiome has multiple suppliers for each essential function. The strength isn't in which specific baker is there. The strength is in the fact that there's always bread, regardless of which baker works. A 2023 study in the Lancet Microbiome examined this in patients with inflammatory bowel diseases. Those with higher functional redundancy, more backup capacity, had less severe flares and faster recovery. Their microbiomes weren't better in terms of better bacteria. They were more robust in terms of more alternatives. This also explains the concept of keystone species. In every ecosystem, there are some species that fulfill crucial functions without backup. When they disappear, the whole system collapses. In your microbiome, certain bacterial strains can have keystone functions. If they disappear through antibiotics, through extreme diets, through chronic stress, and there's no redundancy, you lose essential capacity. The goal is not to protect specific keystone bacteria. The goal is to build so much functional redundancy that no single species is indispensable. At Cosmo Group, we discovered the importance of redundancy by looking at recovery. 2 people with similar microbiome profiles could recover completely differently from the same disruption. At first glance, inexplicable. Until we looked not at which bacteria they had, but at the functional overlap between those bacteria. Those who recovered quickly had microbiomes with high functional redundancy, different strains that could fulfill overlapping functions. When some strains were disrupted, others took over. Those who recovered slowly had microbiomes that looked healthy on paper, but had little functional overlap. Each strain had a unique role. When one failed, the function failed. A specific case illustrates this. A woman with chronic fatigue after a course of antibiotics. Her microbiome was recovered according to standard measurements. The numbers were normal again, but functionally something was missing. Certain functions, specifically the production of certain B vitamins, were only performed by one bacterial strain. That strain hadn't returned after the antibiotics. No redundancy, no backup, loss of function despite a normal microbiome. We specifically built that functional redundancy, not by bringing back that one specific strain, but by supporting multiple strains that could perform the same function. Her energy returned, not through perfection, but through insurance. The aha moment. Redundancy is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Systems without backups are fragile. They function until they no longer function, and then there's no safety net. This applies to your microbiome. This applies to your entire physiology. This applies to your life. The question is not, how do I make my system as efficient as possible? The question is, do I have backups for when things go wrong? Build in redundancy, not through more of the same, but through more paths to the same goal, multiple ways to fulfill essential functions. The biohack: diversify your fiber sources, not more fiber, diversified fiber, different types from different sources. Each fiber source feeds different bacterial strains. By diversifying, you build multiple guilds, multiple groups that can fulfill overlapping functions. This week, count how many different fiber sources you eat: vegetables, fruit, legumes, nuts, whole grains. Aim for at least 15 different sources per week, not for the fibers themselves, for the redundancy they build. This was Cosmo Talks. Health emerges in interconnection, not in isolation. Your body is not a machine, but a living system. Taking control starts with conscious awareness. Want to be part of a community of like-minded people? Visit cosmogroup.eu. Until next time.